Carolina rides.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Rocking and rolling. Got the month underway, and we got ourselves a beautiful day, beautiful week ahead. Got a lot of sunshine.
Man, I forgot to mention something last week. Congratulations again.
Oh yeah. Well, salesperson of the month. Even though I didn't quite get to my goal. It's weird how that works, isn't it? Like, you as a salesperson, you're like, yeah, I won, but I wanted to get a couple more.
At least one more, right?
Yeah,
at least one more. So, but anyway, no, congratulations, you and Big E.
That was a tight race. All through the last of the month, it was like neck and neck.
Yeah, and it came out, both of you guys tied, and you hit them up with one more new car. And
that's
the tiebreaker. So if anybody was wondering, the way we handle it here at this dealership is whenever you have a tie for salesperson of the month. So if one person sells 14 cars and another person sells 14 cars, the first tiebreaker is the total amount of new cars sold. So Bobby sold 6 new cars, and Big E sold 5 new cars.
And that
so
last
by the
day,
tiebreaker,
I went upstairs and I was sitting there I was counting them down. I was like, and I did it twice.
Well, the funny thing is, and I always the next morning I went upstairs and I counted on the board because I like to be right about stuff, right?
No doubt, yeah.
I don't know what happened, but I went up on the board and I was going Bobby 1, Bobby 2, Rashawn 1, Rashawn 2. Rashawn's Big E, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And, so anyway, I got down and I was like, okay, so both of them's tied at 5. Well, your last 2 cars, I don't know why, but your last 2 cars had a brain fart or something. I put 5, and then the next number was another 5.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I never put the 6. So anyway, I look at the final 2 numbers. I'm like, okay, you got 5, he's got 5. Okay, well, now we're going to go to the second tie break, which is gross. And but then Taylor.
If it had come to gross, I would have been in trouble because I did a lot of skinny deals last month trying to just make it happen on some deals.
But I think maybe you were so convincing to Taylor. I got more than 5 new cars out, bud. Yeah. So Taylor, our business manager, went upstairs to double check me, and I'm glad he did. I don't like making mistakes, but I kind of pride myself on not making a mistake, but this was a mistake. He went upstairs and says, "Hey, bud, he's got 6 new cars." And I was like, no, I can't be wrong. You know what I mean? Everybody knows how it is whenever you.
Well, in this business, it starts to become a part of the nature. You don't want to be wrong.
Yeah. So I go upstairs with Taylor, and I'm like, where do you see that? And Taylor goes, well, you got 5 there for Bobby, and you got 5 right there for Bobby. I scratched my head and said, Taylor, you're right. Daggum, I was wrong. So Bobby's salesperson of the month.
Woohoo! Yeah, and look, every month you go from hero to zero. So at the beginning of the month, I start out at 0 just like Big E, and we start the battle once again because we're off to about another close start.
And, so right now at the dealership, I'll give you everybody out there a little inner workings of the dealership. Right now, it's a high target environment for the salespeople because we're running with a little bit of a short sales staff for such a crucial summer month in the month of August. So it's sort of like I'm calling all hands on deck at this point. I even I asked the salespeople if you can work extra, work your day off, work extra, and everything. It's going to be worth it because here we go. We've got 8 salespeople. We normally run with a staff of somewhere right around 12 or 13.
Yeah. This time of year, especially.
Yeah. So, but for you 8 guys that's on the sales floor right now, and management staff's going to have to kick it up a notch too, because we're going to have to get out and hit the pavement and sell some cars ourselves to make this month flourish. Yeah. We'll do what it takes, of course. But
as the salespeople, I tell people this, that everybody's kind of my competition, and we work as a team. I mean, it's obviously,
Yeah, you do.
That is kind of the foundation of how this dealership works. It doesn't always work
because it's customer-centric focused, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
So if it's not customer-centric focused, you're not going to have any aspect of teamwork at all.
Right. So when we have somebody that's a heavy hitter leave, it's like, well, I'm about to have a pay raise. But we don't want to see that happen because we want to sell volume here. So it's like it's a give and a take from the salesperson's perspective, though. That's sometimes how other salespeople might see it as more opportunities. So
so there's some, I don't know. Look, I'm under the big scope of things that whatever you do, whatever anybody else is doing, doesn't affect whatever you do. Mm-hmm. I never let it used to bother me if salesperson A and B were doing this, that, or the other, or what happened on this deal with another salesperson. Mm-hmm. That really never really bothered me. I really kind of stayed in my own path and tried to concentrate on what I can control.
Right.
And if sales consultants stay out of the drama and don't worry about anybody else, they'll find their own numbers going up.
Yeah.
So that's a little tidbit, a nugget of advice. Don't care about what other people are doing.
No, that's a huge point of advice, because maintaining focus, because there's a lot of distractions out there. We already got one distraction we carry around in our pocket every single day, the cell phone, which is a part of this business. You got to have it. It's a tool, but it can also be a hindrance. Especially if you get buried in something, you may even be doing something productive on it, but you could miss an opportunity. And I think when I first started, it wasn't quite as strong an influence in our lives. I had only just recently moved from my flip phone to a smartphone, a couple years into the business, and now it's just so inundated that you can be distracted by so many different things. Your phone's dinging at you. Look, we wear the watches that'll let us know. It's just all in our face. So focus is important. You got to have focus.
It's a good thing. It's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So we're all focused on, well, I don't want to miss that email that comes through from a customer.
Right.
So we all have our emails on our phone now. We have that capability.
Mm-hmm.
Some put on, some don't. But the ones that put on are going to see an important email from a customer come through, or they're going to see a bank stip that a customer is required to provide to the bank that they're going to have to send to. Maybe they're sending you a copy of their paycheck stub via text.
Right.
Well, you certainly don't want to miss that. But here's the flip side.
Mm-hmm.
That little device we have in our pocket also notifies us of everything little else that we got going on in our lives.
Yeah.
And so we pick up our phone and we've got 15 notifications. The next thing you want to know, because what? People are curious, right? So we don't want to miss anything. So let's say, oh, we got a nice deal right here on some shirts from Academy Sports.
Yeah, nothing to do with
cars,
No doubt.
But I didn't want to miss this deal from Academy Sports. They'd only run it twice a year.
Right. Yeah, it is. It's like that, And so I don't do this personally, but a thing that you could do, and this could go for anybody, is you have these different focus modes on your phone now. I don't know if you've ever dug into that, but you can have it only notify you of certain things. And like during the weekends, you might only have those ads or something coming to you instead of work. If you didn't want to be bothered while you're with your kids or you're at church or, stuff like that. In our business, probably not something you could do realistically, because you kind of always got to be available,
Yeah.
But like on vacation, you can put it, you can set a setting on your phone to put it in vacation mode, and your phone goes into vibrate. So you're not hearing the ding, ding every time, the group chat's blowing up.
I don't know very much about the modes about phone, right?
Okay.
But I do know the silent button. Okay?
That's right. Yeah. It is a crucial button.
Yeah. I've got the silent button down pat. So
yeah. iPhone makes it easy. You just got one little click. My Samsung, we have a little bit of divide coming up, I think, in the showroom, where you got Apple folks and you got Samsung folks, and for the longest time.
Yeah, Don Alejandro.
Yeah,
he went and got him. One of them fancy Samsung flip things.
Yeah. It's it's even Chrysler has looked out for us a little bit with getting away from only having Apple for iShowroom. Used to be that was the only way you could do a delivery confirmation, and I think they finally caught wind that there's two sides of the ship. You know, you got the Apple people and you got the Android people.
Do you even know what I don't know. I just deal with customers and everything. The vast majority of customers that I deal with, maybe because of my age, I don't know. The vast majority of customers that I deal with and everything have Apple. A few, some have the Android, the Google phones.
Yeah.
But I just or Samsung, whatever. But but most of the people. What do you think the percentage is between your Android people and your iPhone people? What do you think?
So this is just a general sort of
Well, you deal with the public on the floor level, right?
Yeah.
And you sell enough cars and pair up enough phones that you kind of got a good idea what that is. So
I think for a while there was a blanket rule where it was like, if you got your free phone, that was probably going to be an Android, and then so it was kind of like this divide where if you had an iPhone, you were either affluential or you had money, or there was that sort of thing going on where there was a little bit of divide where, like, business owners, sometimes they would tell their workers, hey, look, you can only have an iPhone because of certain apps that they're going to use. They want to have FaceTime and be able to do things that are in the same ecosystem. But now things have kind of shifted a little bit. Android, especially Samsung, is kind of on the higher end where if you're talking about cost of phones and stuff like that, that's one thing. Most people are going to do a contract, and it's going to be just a part of their monthly bill anyways.
Right.
So it's less of a divide like how it used to be. Used to be, not to say it like, it's downside, but the poor folks had the Android and the richer folks had the iPhones. But it's a completely different scenario now because everybody's kind of in a mixed bag. I deal with folks that have sometimes both. And that's just because each have their own advantages.
But not to get too much in the phone, but like you see it. So what would you say? Would you say the breakdown 70% Apple and 30% Android?
With my customer base, it's almost like 60-40. I would say, depending on who you're dealing with. A lot of younger folks tend to have Android. It's a little bit more, I won't say complicated, but it's more involved. It's more like power user type thing. iPhone just kind of works. So I think that's why a lot of older folks went with iPhone, because you just get it. You do your text, you make your calls. The apps were very easy to use and user friendly.
And the other thing is, and I can go from experience on my point, all I've had as far as a smartphone is Apple. Right. So it's kind of like nobody really likes change. Well, I'm a creature. I don't mind change. I really don't. But I have an option, right?
Right.
And so I have an option to, like, my iPhone's still an iPhone 12, right? So it's
I have what you're used to.
Huh?
It's what you're used to.
Yeah, it's what I'm used to. It's just familiar. At where I am, when it's time for me to upgrade to whatever the iPhone 18 or 19 or wherever I am when it upgrades, I just prefer just to keep the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
It's simple.
It is, and so and that's the other thing that happens is that once you get into one side of things, it's probably going to stay that way unless you just get sick of a certain way things happen.
Well,
but it is actually really rooted in our business, though, because every single vehicle out here is going to connect to your phone, and it's a challenge. Yesterday, I dealt with somebody, that's my age, and they're just not that tech savvy. They don't care about their phone. They use it for call and text, and that's about it. But once I hooked up the Android Auto, and it took a little change into some settings and digging in and finding out why it's not connecting to it, because he never uses it for stuff like that. But once it got up and running, he saw the benefit, and I said, look, just Just try it out. You can still go back to just having Bluetooth. Our product does allow that, where you can just switch over to Bluetooth and not have, everything from your phone.
So now you're talking about the Android Autoplay.
Android Auto, yeah.
Okay, so now you're talking about setting him up on that.
Correct.
So, and you think before he left, he was starting to see the value in that?
Yeah. I mean, even in just the way text messages come through, that feature, it being around for a long time, it's not anything new to some folks, but he just never used it on his last truck, even though it was something that was available, because you had to be plugged in, And I think once now that things are wireless, people are seeing that feature be a really big value and a benefit to their
being
life.
able to do that wireless, I always thought was a big advantage for Apple. So I'm glad that Android's come to that, same playing field.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, and essentially the same sorts of features are available. It's just a different ecosystem. It's just like if you get on a PC versus a Macintosh. Things are just different. And because I'm in that tech world, I kind of had to learn both, and I've had both products, and it has been a great benefit because
I bet
I can.
Well, I mean, you're I guess worldly known around the telephone industry. If you have both of them and you can know how to operate both of them, because I'm going to go ahead and tell you what, if somebody dropped an Android phone in my hand, I wouldn't know what to do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the fact that you have both, and that's going to help you relate to customers there, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what. So if one of my Android customers, if one of my customers is an Android customer and everything, I'm going to have to go, hey, Bob, come on over here, bud. Go ahead and help me out, get his phone, paired up and ready for Android Auto for his vehicle.
And admittedly, I've had that advantage of having both products. I moved back to Android, and I didn't necessarily have a problem with Apple, but the thing is if you're an Apple person, you can get a very cheap Android phone to learn that side of things. So you can get an Android phone, probably something that is compatible for like less than $100 if you get it on the used market. If you want to have a tool to be able to use and learn, and I know that's maybe like too much for some people to invest in an extra device they're never going to use. But as a way to learn that product, it may be worth it to some people.
Yeah, I mean, it is a way to learn. You make a point.
Yeah.
You make a point.
So anyways, we went way into the phone realm. Holy cow.
I don't even know how we got into that far into it.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it as we were discussing it, if we don't start getting into some showroom stories, we might just lose our target audience,
Yeah, no doubt. We went all the way into the having focus and got unfocused into the audience.
But isn't that what East Carolina Rides is all about? It's lighthearted car talk. And look, bottom line is a phone now is part of our daily ride.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I can't believe I've even saying this. I love Apple CarPlay so much. I don't know what I'd do without Apple CarPlay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even, folks talk about nav. Does this truck or is this car or does this SUV have factory nav? And I'm like, thank goodness no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, thank goodness no. Once we get your phone set up, you won't ever worry about that nav again.
That's right.
So,
always up to date. You ain't calling 2-3 years later to update your apps.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely the best feature to have hit in a long time in the auto industry, and it's been around for a long time. But the technology we deal with, I mean, that's of course one thing. I have plenty of stories of people having issues with their phone and stuff. But I know you said you had a showroom story you wanted to share. I don't want to take up the rest of the time talking about phones.
No, so this one. This showroom story is a customer shopped at a dealership, and you can take this showroom story for whatever it's worth. A customer shopped at a dealership. I'm not going to mention the dealership. And this is a difference about appearing to be an expert to a customer, okay, versus appearing to be just completely clueless and lost. And this is a lesson for sales consultants And this is also a benefit to customers because what do customers want? Customers want someone, okay, that is knowledgeable and trustworthy to be able to help them find the vehicle of choice that's going to impact their lives in a positive manner. That's what they're looking for. Yeah. The first thing is about being knowledgeable. So here's what not to do. So a customer visits a dealership. The sales consultant meets the customer. The customer walks through the door. The sales consultant meets the customer. And at this particular dealership, the sales consultant says, they ask about a vehicle. They ask about a specific vehicle, which means what? They already saw it online, right?
Yeah.
They're coming there specifically to take a look at that vehicle. So the customer's there at your door, and the salesperson goes, let me find out where that vehicle is. That's number one. Let me find out where that vehicle is. And then goes directly over to their computer to go ahead and plug in the make, year, and model of the vehicle. Of course, the customer doesn't have the stock number. They just have the year, make, and model. So he pulls all that up. He pulls up, and like 2 or 3 options pop up with the year, make, and model. And he goes, okay, which one of these is it? And turns, but there's a problem because one of them's a stock sticker and one of them.
Right.
Luckily, the customer goes, yeah, it's that one right there.
Yeah.
Right? So
I'm disappointed already.
yeah. So the customer's already having to point out to the sales consultant which one it is. The sales consultant, and I get it, but when a customer asks about a particular vehicle, you should know, especially at the size of this particular car lot, it should have known where that vehicle was. Yeah. But if you know where your used inventory is and where it is in the process and everything, long story short, he found out that vehicle was hasn't been run through the shop yet.
Okay.
Yeah. It hasn't been run through the shop yet, and it also had a little bit of damage on the back of it and stuff like that was waiting to get reconditioned and repaired, so that way it looks good for the next person.
Right.
So, but anyway, so that took some time. Then they wanted to look at an alternate one. He didn't know where that vehicle was, right?
Yeah.
Then he looked and found out that service had that vehicle lent out. They loaned that vehicle out. Well, he didn't know that. So basically, the customer waited there at the workstation of the sales consultant. From what I understand, from what Alejandro told me, they waited for right around 20, 25 minutes and got nowhere. Didn't even walk out on the lot. Didn't do anything.
Wow.
Yeah. So, okay, so you got to take that experience, right?
Yeah.
So then these same folks come to this dealership and so proud that they did. And what happens? They come into the door, okay, or actually Alejandro meets them on the way. You know, they park up front. Alejandro meets them on the way and everything. And they say, yeah, so we're interested in this. Alejandro, yes, absolutely. I know exactly where that vehicle is. Let me go grab the key for you. So that right there impressed the customer so much that he knew exactly where the vehicle was. He was going to bring up the vehicle for them. He was going to go grab the key, and he was going to go ahead and make this an easy, seamless transition from walking in the door to having a vehicle being pulled up for you, right?
Yeah.
Well, that impressed the customer so much they decided to go ahead and share the story, okay, of what happened over at the other dealership. And so first and foremost, know where your inventory is, be an expert, and don't use your computer all the time to judge where your inventory is. Your computer is not going to pull up but the exact same information the customer already saw. It's not going to answer any question for you. What you have to do is you have to get out there on the lot and find the vehicle, because quite frankly, if the customer said, yeah, I'm here to look at this vehicle, I'm here to look at this vehicle, and he said, well, look, that vehicle hasn't been run through the shop. It's also got a small little place on the back bumper that we want to get repaired for the next customer and everything. I'll be happy to show you the vehicle and everything. Yeah. Just keep in mind that it's got to run through our shop for a pre-delivery inspection, and we want to get this little spot on the back fixed. If the sales consultant had done that and everything, the customer would have gravitated toward that. They would have already been outside. The customer would have already been looking at the vehicle, whether it's clean or not. They would have been already looking at the vehicle right there, and at least the salesperson would save face from not looking like, I dare say, an idiot.
Yeah. Well,
And
the thing that
not knowledgeable. I don't want to say that. It's not. If it's not knowledgeable,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, and that leads into that. We had a discussion in the meeting yesterday. That first impression, when you meet and greet somebody, that first impression is very lasting, and that was a horrible first impression. That the person wasn't prepared, didn't have a clue about the inventory, wasn't accommodating and just getting out there and trying to find something that maybe is there. Get them away from standing around the desk waiting, for what you said, 25 minutes. That you're just waiting.
It was about, the customer told Alejandro it took them 25 minutes, okay, to find out that the other truck, because the salesperson looked on the screen. What's the other truck? All right, looked on the screen. Okay, that's the stock number. Writes down the stock number. Again, no clue where the second truck is.
Yeah.
And then apparently leaves for about 10 minutes and comes back and goes, guys, I'm sorry that truck's loaned out and everything. I can call you when it comes back in. Well, guess what? I don't think they ever got their name and number. I think they just walked right out because they were.
I mean, that would be my next move. I mean, it doesn't sound like the truck's here and you don't know a thing about it anyways, so I'm probably going to go somewhere else. I don't know. It's I guess their loss is our gain.
But it happened. Let me go ahead and tell you, it can reverse happen.
Yeah.
If I have a younger salesperson that relies on his computer a lot, and we teach, do not sell in your seat. Okay, sell on your feet and close in your seat.
Yeah.
Okay, that's always been a phrase, and the reason why is because you have to have customer interaction.
Yeah.
There's no customer interaction if you're looking at inventory on a computer screen and clicking and going, "Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice right there."
Yeah. That picture
Click,
looks great.
"Oh, look at there. Look at that truck. That's a nice truck.
Yeah.
How many miles on that one? 101,000. See, that's not a bad truck. What do you think? Oh, and what do you think a customer's going to say?
I saw that on my phone. I'm good. Yeah. Like, you helped me know.
Move over to the next screen, please. No, the customer wants to look at vehicles, get inside it, sit in it, see how the seat feels to them, see what their arm length is with the steering wheel.
Yeah.
See how they can see out of the side mirrors. Don't you understand? You're selling a vehicle, okay?
Well,
you can't sell ideas.
No. I mean, look, when you're talking to somebody on the phone, obviously it's a resource. There's certain things you can do where the computer obviously makes sense. We do internet sales where we have, that's the only thing we can do until they actually get here is show them or send them a link.
A computer's necessary, but not to sell.
No way. And I was pretty proud of
It's a communication tool, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's all. It's just a tool. And ultimately, I saw it happen on Saturday too, where somebody came in. It wasn't my customer, but somebody came in. They were looking at a vehicle that another customer was test driving. Well, the salesperson didn't just sit there and wait, for the car to get back. They went and checked out some other options. It might have been something that they didn't necessarily think to be another great option, but they ended up finding that car. This is what I overheard as far as what happened. They found another car that actually was more preferred, had more equipment or something along those lines that was just like it. They were gravitating more towards that. They didn't even go back and look at that other car when it got back on the test drive. They were already sold on another car. And so spending that time finding out what a customer's needs are. We have the road to the sale, and we one of our little checkpoints is qualifying. Now that sounds like we're going to be asking what the credit is and all that, but qualifying really is like a needs-based sort of interview. You ask the person what they're looking for, what kind of budget they're looking for. Credit be what it is. You got to narrow down what actually is going to fit their lifestyle and benefit their lives.
Yeah, there's a couple ways to think about it. If you really want to narrow it down, maybe let's just go in layman's terms as a getting to know each other
Right.
type deal, right?
That's right.
Let me get to know a little bit about your situation. I'll tell you exactly what I think I can do to try to help, right?
Yeah.
And so basically what you're doing is you're painting an outline, because it's kind of like putting a puzzle together, right? So everybody does the puzzle the exact same way. You put the borders around. So you're doing your outline. Okay, you're doing your outline or a border of a puzzle.
Yeah.
So that way you can go ahead and get your parameters of where you need to go to help the customer, what not to exceed as far as budget range. You can you're trying to fit the perfect vehicle right in there to, cover all their needs and maximize their wants.
Yeah.
So, but we were talking about yesterday in a meeting this, as far as qualifying is extremely important, or question and answer period, wants and needs assessment. There's plenty of different terms for it. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
But meet and greet is so important, because meet and greet has to be very, very confident and everything. Just like the showroom story I just told, you had a non-confident salesperson. Okay, maybe it was a friendly meet and greet,
Right.
but everything went downhill from there.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know what I mean? Everybody. So a first impression, the meet and greet is so important to being able to put the deal together right then and there. But me and you, out of the entire group, think kind of the same way. I think because of the longevity in the business we both, have had, the delivery of the vehicle to me is the most important step, because what it does is it solidifies the relationship. It guarantees that your customer feels confident leaving with the vehicle, and it's the last thing, because the delivery comes after the finance office. It comes after they've already signed the paperwork.
Right.
So the way I train my finance guys is, you're the lasting impression that the customer's got for their pocketbook, right? For their
Correct.
pocketbook.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, the salesperson should be the lasting impression that the customer's got for repeat business, repeats and referral sales and all that.
Yeah.
So the delivery to me, for the big, long scope of things, is very, very important. It's so important to take that 15, 20, sometimes we talked about if you got yourself a Grand Wagoneer Summit Reserve, maybe go into that 30 to 40 minute time frame and spend with that customer.
Right.
If the customer doesn't have time, get them to come back. Okay, it's so important. Get them to come back and just to spend an additional 20 to 30 minutes with you, so that way you can make sure that they understand everything.
Yep.
And it also makes your life easier, because a customer will pop up asking how to work this piece of equipment while you're already with two other customers.
Right. Yeah.
It'll happen at the most inopportune time too. So.
No doubt. Yeah, you definitely want to be proactive in that instance. Is if you go through it, and the way that I deliver things is, I guess we're getting close to the end. But what I would suggest to anybody figuring out how they deliver cars, I try to maintain some kind of organization when I do it, because if you do that, you remember what you covered and you can finish on a high note. So I go from left to right. You get over there, you stand over their shoulder, you show them little things inside the driver information display, a couple of things like your lights and all that kind of stuff that's on that side that you can't easily point out.
So you're covering the stuff that they see in their steering wheel display.
Yep. Yeah. So you just kind of hover there, you stand over their shoulder, and look, it doesn't take that long to do that part. The big part for most vehicles is going to be in that screen, and that's where you jump in on the passenger side. You maybe cover a couple things on the outside, before you do that. But that's when you dig in, and if you go from that left to right and kind of top to bottom, then you know what you've covered and you haven't forgotten anything. So that would be my suggestion for anybody, just to maintain it and be organized so that you have sort of a streamlined process. And that's how I do it more effectively.
Yeah. Well, that's the great way to have an effective delivery and everything. But I know G-Dub's going to be calling us into the meeting soon.
Yeah, I didn't
Tuesday.
Turn my dings off. I've been dinging. It's getting about that time.
4 minutes.
The
3
countdown.
minutes.
We are on the countdown time now.
Oh, G-Dub.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm excited for the day, and excited to share another great episode with
Hit that
folks.
subscribe button.
Yes, sir.
Hit
Yes,
that
sir.
subscribe button. Thank
Right.
y'all for watching.
Appreciate y'all, and we will continue rocking and rolling. Thank you so much for watching East Carolina Rides.
Yes, sir.
Later on.
Later.